Hey, LinkedIn, and welcome back to Business Unusual, a live show. We are speaking with you about how the coronavirus is impacting the ways that we all work. I'm your host, Caroline Fairchild, coming to you from my home office here in New York City. This is a difficult time for everyone, but for college seniors who had their last year of school cut short and are now facing a job hunt, the pain is real. Before COVID-19 came on the scene, students thought that they were entering one of the best hiring markets of all time. Now, it's uncertain exactly what they are entering. We have heard stories on LinkedIn of students who've had their internships revoked, job offers revoked. And in the cases of students who don't have a job or an internship lined up, networking, doing things like that during this time seems next to impossible. We're going to unpack that all on today's show. But first, we want to hear from you. What questions do you have on the stream? We're seeing more of you joining us each day. We appreciate it. We want to talk with you personally. This show, we're focused on the job hunt and what it means for current students. So if you have questions about that or anything related or wanted to share your experiences, let us know in the stream. We'll get your questions answered on today's show. Okay, so what's it really like to be on the job hunt right now during a global pandemic? We have a panel of college students from across the country who are going to join us later in the show and bring them all on right now to introduce themselves. We have Skylar, Ellery, Cindy, Sophia, and Marie. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Very briefly, Skylar, I'll start with you. Tell me where at school you are at and what you're majoring in.
So I go to the University of Southern California. I'm a senior and I'm studying business administration.
Great. All right, Ellery, to you.
Hi, I'm Ellery. I go to Boston University. I'm a senior and I'm studying special education.
Great. Cindy?
Hi, I'm a senior here at the University of Florida and I'm studying public relations and criminology.
Great. Sophia?
Hi, I'm a senior at the University of Pennsylvania and I'm studying finance, marketing, and business analytics.
Wow, lots of majors. All right, Marie.
Hi, I'm a senior at Ohio University and I'm studying journalism.
All right. Well, we're going to hear back from you guys later on in the show. Each of you has a unique experience right now looking for a job or potentially even having a job revoked. So I look forward to hearing more from your experiences later on in the show. But for now, I want to bring in an expert who can kind of unpack for us what does exactly this coronavirus mean for the class of 2020. We're going to bring on Jeff Seilingo. He's an author and a journalist, has an upcoming book coming out about the admissions process for colleges. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here, Caroline.
Okay, so we just saw last week nearly 3.3 million people file for unemployment benefits. That's more than quadruple the previous record. What does this mean specifically for college seniors who are on the job hunt right now?
Well, I think the suddenness of it it's almost very different than any other recession, which tends to slowly come on for college seniors. So I think that's one big difference in that, many of them might have had job offers lined up, interviews lined up, or internships lined up, and those are suddenly disappearing, or you can't just reach the people because they're now spread out, meaning people at the employers. On top of that, the seniors themselves are not on campus, right? So you can't easily access the resources, the networking resources, whether they're among faculty or staff or the career center that you would have had otherwise if you were on campus. So I think those two things make this very different from other recessions that have hit even in the spring of somebody's senior year.
You mentioned that this is very different than recessions that we've seen in the past. We've seen a lot of members on LinkedIn trying to equate this to what happened in 2008. Unpack for us why this is so different.
Well, 2008 was much longer for one thing, and we don't know how long this is going to be, right? So, in the good news category of this for seniors is that maybe if we're able to kind of take control of the pandemic sometime this summer, that things will start looking up in the fall. And in many ways, the economy was already pretty strong to begin with for seniors. And that's another big difference with this, right? So coming into the spring of their senior year, the economy was already strong for them. Hiring was already up for most seniors. And so they might just be able to pick this back up in September. But a difference from previous recessions is that entire industries, mostly in hospitality and travel and things like that, are being decimated by the coronavirus pandemic. So we're not quite sure how those industries, retail on top of that, are going to change for seniors. So one suggestion that I have is that we were already facing a very different future workforce anyway because of automation and artificial intelligence. And as I always told students, based on my last book, There Is Life After College, employers were looking for graduates who had a lot of the soft skills, right? Problem solving, communication, being detail oriented, things like that. And I will tell you, in this crisis, that has exposed a lot of weakness in the current workforce. So if you're a senior coming out of college and you're able to prove that you have those soft skills, that you're able to navigate the ambiguity of this process, that you're able to communicate well, that you're able to pivot and do online education, for example, coming out of this, I think those skills are going to be much more sought after coming out of this crisis for a lot of employers.
You talk about navigating ambiguity. There's no more time than right now in terms of uncertainty, in terms of students having to demonstrate that as they are on the job hunt. But for the students who, some we're going to talk to later in the show, who have had their opportunities revoked, they secured that internship, they secured that job, and now companies are saying, hold on, actually, we're not going to hire you.
Right.
What do we say to them?
Well, first of all, just because they're not going to hire them now doesn't mean, again, that if depending on how long this is, that those opportunities won't come back up in the fall. So be patient, right? I've seen a lot of careers be derailed by people who are impatient. And I know that's hard given what's going on right now and you're unsure where the economy is going. So I would be patient. Second, see if there's other ways you can help out right now, right? Employers have employees spread out all over the place. If you have a good relationship with a hiring manager, especially if you had interned there before and they know you have experience and they know what you can do, maybe there's some things you can do. Some employers I know don't, given labor laws now, don't want free interns, but maybe there's a possibility where you can help out and show your value at a time when a lot of employers and a lot of companies and organizations are under stress.
I think that's great advice for the students who are on the stream right now. But with students not on campus, what are the best colleges doing to support students during this very uncertain, very abrupt time where they had to leave campus almost overnight and now are trying to figure this all out in real time?
Unfortunately, Caroline, I don't think it's very good from what I've been seeing, right? Most colleges are really struggling now just to pivot their courses and classrooms online, right? So they haven't even thought about all the other services that are happening right now. And so that to me is a real big worry. Now, one thing that I've been seeing is this has really engaged the alumni community at many colleges and universities. So I'm seeing on a number of different social platforms and on Zoom and other networking platforms where people are kind of getting together for virtual happy hours and things like that, right? This is a great time potentially to plug into your alumni networks in ways that you might not have been able to plug in before. Now, of course, many of those alums are also going through their own job hunting issues right now, but it's a way where I think alumni are getting together in ways because everyone's home, right? And they're desperate for some sort of human interaction, even if it's like this. And I think it's a great way for undergraduates to kind of plug into those networks where they might not have been able to before.
This is a human interaction, Jeff. We got to get through this together. So we have to feel that right now. And for those of you who are just joining the stream, I'm Caroline Fairchild. This is Business Unusual, where we're talking about how the coronavirus is impacting the ways that we all work. Today's show is about the class of 2020. I'm here with Jeff Seilingo, the author of the forthcoming book, A Year in College Admissions. Jeff, I want to bring you back in. I'm seeing some questions in the stream. One from Alyssa, who wants to know, should 2020 graduates focus more on possibly attaining a master's degree for the time being until the job market welcomes us more? I'm seeing a lot of this. It's kind of like, is the answer to just continue to pay money to go to school?
I think that would have been the answer in the last recession. I think the difference now is there's a lot more opportunities for shorter courses, more shorter credentials out there that you didn't see before, right? There's a lot of alternative education providers and even traditional colleges and universities, MIT, Georgia Tech, Boston University, they're all offering these micro credentials. I would be very careful about going after kind of the traditional master's degree. First of all, they're expensive, they're lengthy, right? So you might be in a master's program for several years. And I think given the changes in the job market, something that you take now might be outdated by the time you finish the degree in 3 years. So I would look more for short-term credentials and other types of shorter programs that might get you a specific skill that you're missing for the job market, right? So, whether that's a digital skill, whether that's, data visualization, whatever it might be, the jobs, there are going to be jobs coming out of this, and what are the specific skills that you might be missing? Go after that skill. Don't go after a full master's degree.
So it might be a good opportunity to brush up on a skill you can learn in a short period of time. Jeff, as always, such a pleasure to talk with you. Enjoy your home office, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, now I'm going to bring on the class of 2020 panel to talk to us about what it's really like right now for them on the job hunt, getting offers revoked, trying to figure out what is happening in a time of high uncertainty. Thank you all so much for joining us. Murray, I want to start with you. You had an internship lined up with Warner Music Group that was recently revoked. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, so I had been interviewing with them since about December. So it's been a quite lengthy process with them. I've had about 4 interviews with them with 3 different departments. I got my official offer on March 6th. And then I saw all of my friends getting their stuff revoked. And then the thought went through my head, and it was very fleeting that possibly this could happen to me. Well, the next email I got from them was just about like dress code and where to park. So I thought that I was like in the clear. At least for the time being. And then last Thursday on March 26th, I got the email that the internship program as a whole had been canceled. So not just the Nashville office where I was about to start in May, but across the country, all of Warner stopped all of their interview or internship programs.
That's got to be so unsettling to hear, particularly if you've been interviewing for such a long period of time. Sophia, you had your graduation canceled, which I know is something that a lot of the students on the stream also had happen. Walk us through what that announcement was like and what it meant for your family.
Absolutely. It was absolutely devastating news to my family, especially as a first-generation student in the United States studying. I'll be the first one getting my degree in the United States. And so it was really devastating for my family. However, a plus side of this was there was a huge petition that was sent out to students, and I think it garnered over 10,000 signatures or something like that. And the university agreed to postpone the commencement rather than just completely delete it from our lives, because it is a very significant moment. I know a lot of us here on the panel, we've been working so hard for 4 years, and to have that just taken away from us and not being able to celebrate that with our loved ones, it was really, really upsetting. But I really hope that a lot of universities out there do take this really seriously and are able to push commencement to hopefully later in the fall when some of this dies down.
Yes, your commencement address is not something that is best to have over Zoom. I can definitely relate to that. Cindy, in terms of your experiences, you're also first in your family to go to college. Did what Sophia just shared kind of resonate with you?
Definitely. It was disheartening because, as Sophia said, like, we spent 4 years doing this. For me and my family, it was basically my whole life. I'm a first-gen immigrant, first-gen college student, and when my parents came to the United States, all they knew was I was going to go to college. They didn't know where, they didn't know how. I grew up knowing I was going to go to school. And then once I started at the University of Florida, I was excited. I was waiting for May 2020 to happen since 2016. And so when this all started happening, the fear of graduation being canceled or postponed was in my head. It was in all of my friends' head. In the first-gen community, we were all thinking about it. We were worried, but of course we were understanding. It was definitely a sad moment, but thankfully, University of Florida just automatically decided to postpone it. They're still working out dates, but from what we've heard as seniors, they will postpone it and will offer students the ability to walk across that stage and get that degree.
Such a big moment for students. I'm glad that they're considering just postponing it as opposed to canceling it outright. Skylar, I'm going to bring you in now. You are at the University of Southern California. I'm a Notre Dame fan myself, but I still brought you on the panel, which I thought was pretty noble of me. Thanks so much for joining us. You're working in real estate development right now. You have a job. What's this like for small business owners right now?
So I'm not a small business owner. However, I work for a small business, and things are changing really quickly. So back in 2008, I was a 5th grader. I didn't really know anything about financial crises, and I knew things were bad for a lot of people, but it was very confusing. And from 5th grade till now, all I've seen is growth. All I've seen is that the market's improving, people making money, unemployment numbers down, everything like that. So being older now, having a recession like this, it's something that I've never experienced. For small business owners, I'm sure it's terrifying. If I wanted to go work into a small business, I'm likely going to be interviewing with, yes, a couple people, but I'll probably be talking with the CEO. And if the CEO, their focus isn't going to be on, oh, should I hire someone? They're probably thinking of, who can I fire to keep my business afloat? So it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, very challenging, for those who do have, jobs secured right now. It's a tumultuous time to be in a job, no matter what position you are in the company. Ellery, you were in school and working towards getting your teaching certificate. And in order to do that, you have to go into schools, and the schools were closed. That must have been a very scary time for you. Unpack that for us.
Yeah, so I've been doing my full-time student teaching since January. So I've been in school Monday through Friday, all day, really just learning everything and getting really close with all the other teachers and students. And one day I got home and I had an email that schools were closing. So all of a sudden, I just couldn't go back to the school and see the students anymore, see the teachers anymore. So that was really hard. And then on top of that, I'm working towards my license. So you have to get a certain number of hours, observations, and all this different evidence that you show that you can be licensed. And all of a sudden the state said, we don't know what we're going to do if we can license all these student teachers. So for a few weeks, it was just uncertainty. And luckily now the state is working with individual schools like BU and saying we can waive certain requirements on an individual basis. So assuming I am able to waive a few requirements, I will still be able to get my license in May, but there's no guarantee.
Right. There's no guarantee for anything right now. And I think that's something that everyone on the panel can kind of relate to right now, is just the uncertainty of the moment. I'll open it up to all of you. I want to know, where are you getting your information right now about what's happening? How are you kind of processing in real time what's happening on the ground for you, either with your job hunt or what's going on in terms of your school?
So I've gotten a lot of emails from the school, starting at the basic of, we know coronavirus is going to be a problem, to it gradually becoming a bigger and bigger deal and clearer from the administration that they're going to have to tackle this. So there were whispers about school closing, and then it got to be bigger and bigger. It actually happened. Then there was confusion about housing, and I really give it to them because they send a lot of emails out explaining every little bit of the situation. But it's really it's intimidating because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Right.
It's also interesting because based on what's happening in the economy, every news source has their own professionals who are coming on, and they're saying really different things. There's people telling me to get my master's degree. There's people telling me to wait. There's people telling me to not go for my dream job now and to just get a practical job instead. And I just feel like everyone has so much advice based on what's happened in the past, but what's happening now is so completely different that what we're being told is just kind of, no one really knows. It's just like ill-hearted because no one really knows what's going on. And as a college senior, I mean, the school is communicating, just like Skylar said, very well, but no one knows what's going on. So our advice is just as good as the advice we're being given.
No one knows what's going on, but we do hope to kind of use LinkedIn as a way to kind of bring you guys the advice. Hopefully in a few minutes, we're going to hear from my colleague, Andrew Seaman, who's going to talk to us about what college counselors are saying on LinkedIn in order to help you. But before I let you all go, I just want to say I'm seeing so many comments on the stream from Allie, from Gregory, from Michelle, Catherine, all saying, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I know that this is an uncertain time, but honestly, just hearing from other students like you is very impactful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you stick around for some advice from my colleague, Andrew Seaman, and keep us posted on what's happening. You all are connected with me now on LinkedIn, so let us know what's happening and how we can help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Andrew, that was a little disheartening to hear, but also I think that there is a lot of hope. These kids, they know what they're doing. They have some plans. What are career counselors saying on LinkedIn right now in terms of what they should be thinking about?
Well, I think the first thing to know is that you're a great connection to have on LinkedIn, so that's important. And then what we also have to remember is that we will get through this. So what's interesting is this is unlike any other time, but what I'm hearing from economists and job search experts is that because this isn't a normal recession, the economy will likely rebound, not like a normal recession that takes a lot of time. So hopefully that plays out. But I reached out to a lot of school career counselors, people who work in the career services office. And what I'm hearing is a lot of hope. A lot of them have been in those positions for a long period of time. Kathy Butler, she responded and basically said that students should be reaching out to their networks and working to expand their networks. You can do that on LinkedIn. Obviously, you could do that by just picking up the phone, having virtual happy hours, coffee chats with people. I did one the other night. It's actually a lot of fun. And then we had Scott Crawford, who basically said, think of other plans. So is there a plan B? Is there a plan C for your career? And I think what's important to emphasize is that there's not one path to your dream job. So, you never really land immediately in your dream job. It takes some time to get there. And the one thing that you can do is figure out what paths are open to you and feasible at this moment. And I think that's sort of the chance you have. The other thing that is important is when you're talking to possible employers, and what I'm really encouraging people to do is have informational interviews. So they may not be hiring people right now, but you could still talk to hiring managers, recruiters, and people within companies to say, hey, can I just talk to you for a few minutes? And that can open a lot of doors for you. And what you could do eventually is, as that relationship builds up over time, you can tell that person, you know what, this is how I can solve your problems. Because at the end of the day, what people want is someone who will solve their problems, and that's who they want to hire.
That really goes back to what Jeff was telling us at the top of the hour in terms of just proving that you have those soft skills, that you have that ability to navigate ambiguity. This is a very uncertain time. Andrew, thanks for sharing those tips. I'm sure they were helpful to the students we had earlier and to the many students I know are on the stream right now.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that is all that we have for Business Unusual, but the whole point of this show is to make this an ongoing discussion. So if you have topics that you want us to hit during this week, during next week, let us know in the stream. We'll definitely consider that. I'm Caroline Fairchild. Thank you so much for joining us.